White bread toast with jam might seem like a light, easy breakfast, but for men over 60, it can quietly drain energy instead of fueling the day. The reason lies in how the body responds to refined carbohydrates and added sugars, two ingredients this classic breakfast is full of. White bread is made from processed flour stripped of fiber and nutrients. When eaten, it breaks down rapidly into glucose, causing a quick spike in blood sugar. The jam, often loaded with added sugars and little to no real fruit fiber, compounds that effect. Together, they push blood sugar levels sharply upward, prompting the body to release a surge of insulin. This is followed by a steep drop in blood sugar, often within an hour or two, leaving the body feeling tired, irritable, and hungry all over again. Doctors who study aging metabolism often caution that refined carbs, especially in the morning, are one of the most common causes of mid-morning crashes in older adults. At age 60 and beyond, the body's insulin sensitivity naturally decreases, meaning it takes longer to clear excess sugar from the blood. This sluggish processing not only causes a dip in energy, but over time can strain the pancreas and increase the risk of type 2 diabetes. Studies have shown that older adults who consume high glycemic breakfasts tend to experience sharper drops in attention, mood, and physical endurance within just a few hours of eating. While toast and jam may feel nostalgic or comforting, their impact on older bodies is often the opposite. What feels like a safe, simple choice is actually a setup for energy instability. Some nutritionists call this kind of breakfast empty energy. It fills the stomach, but leaves the cells starving for real fuel. By mid-morning, fatigue creeps in, focus fades, and the urge to snack resurfaces. For men in their 60s trying to protect their energy, balance their blood sugar, and feel steady through the day, this combination quietly works against them. What seems innocent on the plate is in reality an energy thief in disguise. Sugary instant oatmeal packets are often advertised as a heart-healthy, fiber-rich breakfast, but for men over 60, they can be a hidden source of fatigue and brain fog. While oats themselves are a wholesome grain, the problem lies in how heavily these packets are processed and sweetened. Many popular brands contain multiple teaspoons of added sugar per serving, along with artificial flavors, gums, and preservatives designed to enhance taste and shelf life. These added ingredients shift the nutritional profile dramatically, turning what should be slow-burning fuel into a fast-acting sugar surge. When consumed first thing in the morning, the high sugar content causes blood glucose levels to spike rapidly. This is often followed by a crash, especially in older adults, whose insulin response is not as efficient as it once was. That crash leads to reduced alertness, lower stamina, and a general sense of sluggishness that tends to show up mid-morning. Some endocrinologists warn that repeated blood sugar swings in seniors can not only trigger fatigue, but also interfere with hormone balance, particularly cortisol, which plays a vital role in energy and stress regulation. One clinical nutrition study found that people over 55 who consumed high glycemic breakfasts reported significantly more fatigue and trouble concentrating by late morning compared to those who ate meals with complex carbs and protein. Instant oatmeal packets often rank high on the glycemic index, especially when flavored varieties like maple and brown sugar or apple cinnamon are involved. The oats in these packets are usually pre-cooked and dehydrated, which reduces their fiber content and increases the rate at which they're digested. The issue isn't with oats themselves, but with how they're altered, stripped of fiber and loaded. With sugar, these convenient packets lose the steady, nourishing quality that whole oats provide. For seniors looking to protect their morning energy and mental clarity, these sugary, flavored packets do more harm than good. What's marketed as a healthy start is, in many cases, a shortcut to feeling drained before noon. Flavored yogurt may seem like a healthy breakfast or snack, but many versions are loaded with added sugars that quietly sabotage energy levels, especially in men over 60. A single cup of fruit-flavored yogurt can contain as much sugar as a candy, sometimes upwards of 20 grams or more. While yogurt is often promoted as good for gut health, the excessive sugar in flavored varieties overwhelms those benefits, creating a metabolic burden that affects energy, mood, and long-term health. As the body ages, insulin sensitivity naturally declines. This means blood sugar control becomes less efficient, and any spike in sugar, like the one caused by sweetened yogurt, can lead to a sharp crash later on. According to research published in the Journal of Gerontology, older adults with poor blood sugar control were significantly more likely to report feelings of fatigue, poor concentration, and low physical stamina. That crash may not feel immediate, but within an hour or two of eating, the body begins to feel the effects: sluggishness, irritability, and an increased craving for more sugar or caffeine. Some dietitians warn that many flavored yogurts marketed to health-conscious consumers are health-washed, made to look beneficial but filled with ingredients that undermine those promises. Even fruit-flavored varieties labeled low-fat or light often compensate with more sugar to maintain taste. For men in their 60s trying to maintain stable energy, starting the day with a hidden sugar bomb is a mistake that's easy to overlook but hard to recover from. What was once seen as a safe choice for gut health has, through added sweetness, become a daily energy drain. In reality, flavored yogurt doesn't support the body's rhythm. It disrupts it. Breakfast cereal, even the ones labeled as healthy, can be one of the most misleading energy traps for men over 60. Bran flakes, corn flakes, granola, they often carry health claims on the box, using words like whole grain, heart healthy, or light. But when you examine what's actually inside, many of these cereals are packed with added sugars, fast-digesting carbohydrates, and very little protein or fiber. This combination creates a surge in blood sugar shortly after eating, followed by a predictable crash that leaves the body feeling drained and sluggish just hours later. The cereal aisle is filled with products designed to appeal to long-standing habits. For men who grew up thinking a bowl of cereal was the right way to start the day, it's easy to reach for something familiar. But the body changes with age. After 60, insulin sensitivity begins to decline, and the ability to process high glycemic foods efficiently starts to weaken. When a cereal contains 10 to 15 grams of sugar per serving, which many do, it's more than the body can comfortably manage in a single hit. The result is a spike in glucose that triggers a spike in insulin. And once the sugar is cleared, too quickly, what remains is a sudden drop in energy, often accompanied by irritability or brain fog. Even cereals marketed as natural or organic aren't always safe. Granola, for example, is often seen as a cleaner option, but many commercial versions contain syrups, honey, dried fruits, and even chocolate, all of which add to the sugar load. A serving size on the label is often unrealistically small, and many people eat double or triple that amount without realizing it. According to research published in Nutrients, a peer-reviewed nutrition journal, breakfast cereals are among the top 5 sources of added sugars in the diets of older adults in the United States. Doctors and geriatric nutritionists often point out that cereal may feel like a quick and light breakfast, but its metabolic effects are anything but gentle. It fails to provide sustained energy because it lacks the protein and complex fats that help keep blood sugar stable. Instead, it sends the body on a roller coaster, a brief period of alertness, followed by a slow crash into fatigue. For men over 60, who are more prone to blood sugar irregularities and energy dips, this daily cycle can be especially disruptive. Another concern is how these cereals are processed. Flakes and clusters are typically made by refining grains and subjecting them to high heat and pressure. This not only removes important nutrients, but also makes the starches easier to digest, which might sound good, but it actually means they hit the bloodstream faster, similar to eating white bread or candy. The body experiences this as a sugar rush, not a gradual, sustained release of fuel. It's not just about the sugar itself, but how often it's consumed. Starting the day with a sugary, low-protein meal sets the tone for hunger and energy levels for the rest of the day. A 2021 study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that participants who ate high glycemic breakfasts reported lower energy and more intense food cravings by lunchtime compared to those who had lower glycemic meals. For men in their 60s trying to maintain focus, physical endurance, or steady mood throughout the morning, cereal can quietly work against those goals. The cereal aisle promises ease and familiarity, but it rarely delivers lasting nourishment. With every scoop of flakes or granola, men over 60 may be unknowingly stepping into a daily cycle of energy spikes and crashes. What appears simple and healthy on the outside is, too often, an invitation to fatigue hidden in a bowl. Fruit juices like orange juice and apple juice are often seen as a healthy way to start the day, especially for older adults trying to get a dose of vitamins. But for men over 60, these beverages can silently sabotage energy in ways that feel confusing and frustrating. What seems like a refreshing, nutritious choice is actually delivering a sugar surge that hits the bloodstream almost as fast as soda. That's because fruit juice, even when labeled 100% pure or not from concentrate, is stripped of fiber, the one component in whole fruit that slows digestion and helps regulate blood sugar. Without fiber, the natural sugars in fruit are absorbed rapidly, causing a sharp increase in glucose levels. The pancreas responds by releasing insulin to bring those levels down. In younger bodies, this system operates with more resilience. But as men age, insulin sensitivity tends to decrease, and the blood sugar roller coaster becomes more extreme. This leads to the classic pattern many experience after drinking juice in the morning, a short burst of energy, followed by a hard crash just an hour or two later. Fatigue, shakiness, brain fog, and hunger all creep in, even though the stomach might still feel full from breakfast. Some doctors warn that fruit juices are among the most misunderstood health foods in the senior diet. While they do contain vitamin C and some antioxidants, these nutrients come packaged with an overwhelming dose of sugar that outweighs the benefits. A typical glass of orange juice contains about 22 grams of sugar, roughly the same as some soft drinks. But it enters the bloodstream even faster because it's perceived by the body as a simple liquid carbohydrate. Research published in the journal Circulation found that high consumption of sugary beverages, including fruit juice, was associated with a higher risk of type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular events, especially in adults over 50. One major issue is how the juice is metabolized. When sugar floods the bloodstream quickly, it triggers hormonal shifts beyond just insulin. Cortisol and adrenaline can also rise in response to fluctuating glucose levels, which adds to the sense of fatigue or irritability that often follows. Some nutritionists describe this crash as the body's way of sounding an internal alarm: not enough balance, not enough slow-digesting fuel to sustain steady energy. Apple juice, often assumed to be gentle and mild, poses the same problem. Its high fructose content has been shown in studies to contribute to liver stress when consumed in large quantities or without fiber to buffer the load. Unlike eating an apple, which takes time to chew and digest, a glass of juice floods the system with the sugar of several apples in just a few sips. That concentrated hit overwhelms the body's ability to respond smoothly, especially in older adults with already diminished metabolic flexibility. The idea that fruit juice equals health is deeply ingrained, but the reality for men over 60 is very different. Energy crashes caused by juice are subtle at first: a little fatigue mid-morning, a need for another cup of coffee, a creeping sense of heaviness in the limbs. But over time, these daily crashes accumulate, leading to more inflammation, more cravings and more frustration about why energy just doesn't feel steady anymore. The carton says vitamin C, but the body is quietly saying, "Help me." In truth, drinking juice in the morning is like skipping the fuel and slamming the accelerator. It feels good for a moment, then leaves the system drained. For older men trying to protect their focus, strength, and stability throughout the day, avoiding fruit juice is one of the simplest and most powerful shifts they can make. It's not about denying pleasure. It's about respecting what the body truly needs after 60. Steadiness, not spikes. Breakfast muffins, despite their bakery-fresh image, are one of the most misleading foods men over 60 can start their day with. They're often marketed with words like wholesome, bran, or low-fat, giving the impression of a balanced choice. But in reality, most store-bought muffins are loaded with refined white flour, processed oils, and significant amounts of added sugar, ingredients that convert quickly into glucose, creating a blood sugar spike followed by a mid-morning crash. This crash leads not only to fatigue, but also to increased hunger, brain fog, and cravings for more sugar or caffeine. What many don't realize is that these muffins are, nutritionally speaking, closer to cupcakes than breakfast. A standard-sized blueberry muffin can contain up to 30–40 grams of sugar and nearly 400 calories, with very little fiber or protein to slow digestion. That kind of sugar load early in the day prompts the body to release insulin rapidly. At the same time, cortisol, the stress hormone that helps regulate energy, can spike in response to the quick rise and fall in blood glucose. Some endocrinologists warn that when cortisol surges too high in the morning, it disrupts the body's natural energy rhythm and contributes to abdominal fat storage, particularly dangerous for older men. The soft texture and sweet taste of muffins make them easy to consume quickly, but that speed of digestion is exactly what harms long-term energy. With no fiber to buffer absorption and no healthy fats or protein to provide balance, muffins become fast-acting fuel with no staying power. For men over 60 trying to maintain a steady metabolism and mental clarity, this type of breakfast delivers the opposite effect. What feels like comfort food is, in effect, a morning sedative, pleasant for a moment, but setting the body up for a day of sluggishness and unstable energy. Coffee alone isn't the problem for men over 60. It's what's being added to it that turns a helpful morning habit into a hidden energy drain. Sugar and flavored creamers might seem like small indulgences, but they can completely disrupt the body's metabolic balance first thing in the morning. Many popular creamers are packed with added sugars, hydrogenated oils, and artificial flavors. When stirred into coffee, especially on an empty stomach, these ingredients can cause a spike in blood sugar, followed by a sharp drop that leaves the body feeling more tired than alert. Sweetened creamers, even those labeled low-fat or sugar-free, often contain ingredients like corn syrup solids or sucralose, which confuse the body's insulin response. According to some nutritionists, these artificial sweeteners may trigger cravings, increase appetite, and even raise insulin levels without the presence of real sugar. For older adults, whose bodies already have a harder time regulating glucose, this can mean mood swings, jitteriness, and a foggy-headed feeling, the exact opposite of what morning coffee is meant to provide. Doctors also warn that starting the day with a dose of added sugars, even just a teaspoon or two in coffee, can condition the brain to seek more sweet foods throughout the day. This can lead to grazing, poor appetite control, and unstable energy levels. A study published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism found that morning consumption of sugary beverages, including sweetened coffee, was associated with higher blood pressure and greater fatigue later in the day among older adults. The core issue isn't the coffee itself. In fact, moderate coffee has been linked to cognitive protection and metabolic benefits. But when it's loaded with sugary or processed add-ins, it loses its value and starts to quietly wear the body down. Your coffee should wake you up, not wear you down. For men over 60, rethinking what's in that morning cup can be the difference between sustained clarity and a slow slide into exhaustion.